as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is basically how we started. Yeah.
Cool. People joining.
Hello,
If you guys
everyone.
can put your real name as if you guys can rename
Yeah.
for your Zoom, just so it's a lot easier for us to refer to.
Do you know how they can do that, Andy?
Yeah, it should be where you click on the top right, it should be more, and there should be a button called rename. Or if you click on the participants button, and then if you right click your own name, you should be able to rename yourself. So yeah.
Oh yeah, on the 3 buttons to the right of your name. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should be able to rename. Yeah, too easy.
Nice. Laura, Richard, how are you doing, guys? We're just gonna wait a couple more minutes just for the latecomers to join. So we got Gerard coming in. It's good. Nice, nice. What school you guys from, Richard and Laura? You guys don't mind me asking. You guys can feel free to turn your mics on or type on the chat, whatever's comfortable for you. Yeah, Mansfield. Good, 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 good. Nah, it's okay. Cool. Just want to set up this stuff.
Eritrea, where's Miran's brother? I'm pretty sure it was yourself and I forgot your friend's name when we last had a chat. Is he joining today? I've sent him a link. Awesome, good stuff. Yeah, good stuff, man.
Nice. Cool. I know it's 7 p.m. sharp, but we might wait a couple more minutes.
Oh wow.
Rockhampton.
New sellers near Rockhampton. Awesome to hear that we're getting more rural students. By the way, how did you hear about us, Laura? As well, just curious because we really love to reach out to rural schools.
Hey then, Julia.
Hello.
How's your draft? Have you
good.
gotten feedback yet?
We got cohort feedback. And
Yeah, they usually give like cohort feedback. Yeah. Just through Instagram was looking for some help. Yeah, nice, Laura. Nice, nice. Glad to see our Instagram pages as well.
What did you search up, by the way, for us to come up? Just QCE or ATAR or PSMT or something like that?
Xavier, how you doing, bro? You feel free to turn your mic on if you're not comfortable. You can type on the chat as well. We'll get started in about 2 to 3 minutes. Just waiting for more people to join. Yeah, nah, it's all good, bro. Yeah, just because most websites aren't Australian. Yeah, nice, cool. Now, talking about because the PSMT Masterclass, when's everyone's PSMTs kind of due? I know some people's draft was already due. Yeah, Xavier, you're in for the perfect time here. Because after today, hopefully you know exactly 3 weeks. Mine's due in like 2 to 3 weeks. Perfect. Week 6 Tuesday. Yep. Good, good, good. Nice. So this should give you a good guidance as to starting point as well as actually writing the whole thing. Is everyone about some finding the R value thing? Maybe. Now, are you in grade? Is everyone kind of in grade 11 right now going into grade 12? So this is their very first piece of assessment for ATAR.
Yeah.
Yep. So I know Julie and Gerard, students.
Yeah.
What about Laura and Xavier? Yeah. Yeah, nice. Cool, cool.
Yeah, there's actually a really good size, Andy. I was just going to say, because this is similar to the size we're thinking of running our classes in the future as well. So,
yes, true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, nice.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
So basically, just to introduce ourselves to those that are kind of new to the show, I'm Jad. I graduated from Mansfield. I got an ATAR 99.6. I'm currently studying medicine up in JCU. And this is Andy. Andy, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys. Well, I had a couple of more people joining. I had a little slide, but let me just share my screen just so we can formally get started for the recording, Jad.
Yeah, for sure. You can start recording now, Andy.
Yeah, no, it is recording now, but just so we can because I was gonna cut some parts out.
Yeah, okay.
At the start. Yeah.
Yeah, easy. Too easy.
All right, cool. Not that. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Not that either.
That was
That was our other one here.
yeah.
Give me a second.
So yeah, in the meantime, while Andy's getting that up, basically Andy and I, we kind of reached out to each other early last year, early this year actually. So it's been less than a year since we've been actually helping students, and since then we've been able to fortunately help over 200 students around Queensland, mostly in Brisbane, but we love to reach out to more rural schools where we can, and I'm glad to see there are some people from rural schools here as well. And basically, we thought to ourselves, okay, back as both of us already had quite a bit of tutoring experience, but we thought to ourselves, maybe there's something that can be done easier. It doesn't have to be this hard, because I know traditional tutoring, it basically goes like this, right? Like a student goes to the class, they ask a few questions, they leave with homework, and the cycle repeats. And we kind of wanted to explore a bit more about how we can make a more effective way to pass QCE and actually do really well. And we came up with QC Mentor, which is basically reason we didn't call it QC tutoring is we like to think to ourselves doing a lot more than just traditional tutoring. We want to be your mentors, and our whole goal is to get you from the point you are now, starting ATAR, embarking on ATAR, to your ATAR goal, and ultimately into the uni that you want to get into. That is our number one priority, because I'm sure that's why a lot of you guys do tutoring, right? Is to get that ATAR goal. But for a lot of tutors, that goal kind of loses its place and you just focus on repeating the motions. But we want to keep that in mind. And that's why we have a personalized action for each student that comes to us. It's not always the same. So yeah, since like almost a year of starting, we're able to help get students from literally getting less than 50% of their mocks to doing amazing for their mocks. We've got students now currently about to sit their external exams. They're feeling much more confident. And for the vast majority of students that are running these masterclasses, they end up getting full marks on their internal assessments. So pretty much for the next hour and a half, Andy will be running through the PSMT, breaking down everything. He'll obviously get into a lot of what he's planning as well. But I just wanted to ask you guys, do you think that hour and a half of your full undivided attention is fair enough for this masterclass? Just put a thumbs up in the chat so I can kind of see the engagement. And also Andy will be asking you guys a lot of questions throughout, so that it will be as engaging as possible. So let me just kind of see a bit of thumbs up if everyone is ready to go, and then we can just get started. So excited.
Nice. There you say he's gonna heat up his meal prep. Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
We
Awesome.
are not starting until everyone gives me a thumbs up. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's get the chat warmed up.
Yep, nice.
All righty.
Cool.
Too easy.
I'm pumped.
First ATAR assessment, we're gonna get 20 out of 20, or 10 out of 10 in this case.
Nah, this one's out of 20, bro.
Out of 20 as well. Oh,
Yeah, PSMT's out of 20.
Yeah, I was saying 10 out of 10 in all my videos. But
The art test was 10 out of 10, yeah.
Full marks.
Max marks, yeah. Full marks.
Alrighty, guys.
Cool. Shall we make the start? Or should we wait until 7:10? What do you reckon, John?
I reckon we just make a start.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So welcome guys again to PSMT Masterclass that we're having. Very excited to share my knowledge of PSMT with you guys. And just gonna do a quick intro about myself. I graduated from Mansfield with an ATAR of 99.8. And I'm currently a UQ medicine student with a provisional entry. So next year is my first year into medicine. So, and I'm in my third year of undergraduate, because UQ does not allow anyone from high school to just go straight into medicine. They feel like, you're not that mature enough, do an undergrad and then come into medicine. Cool. And then I've been doing private tutoring for about 3 years, helping people into medicine, dentistry, BAFE, all the courses. And then co-founder and director of QC Mentor, as well as an exam company that we're helping on the side as well for schools. That supplies us with questions as well. Cool. Let's get straight into the crux. So everyone, if you have your task sheet that you've been given, if you can bring out the criteria sheet, ready to take some notes under each of the dot points, because that's exactly what we're doing today. The whole goal of today is not to sit with you and tell you exactly how to solve your math or the PSMT itself. It's more about, right, you've got the math. I'm telling you exactly how to go from the math to the actual writing on the assignment. because no matter what assignment you read, I don't care how good it is, I don't care if it's Einstein level, if you don't have the words, the correct words and the phrases in there, you're not going to get a 20 out of 20. And you might be thinking, well, how hard is that to do? If I tell you to write something and you write it, do I just get the marks? It's as simple as that. Then the question you guys should be asking is, well, why do people not get 20s? It's because teachers not tell you these details. They might hint at it, but they don't stress it, because from a teacher's point of view, they can't give everyone 20 out of 20s. But from my point of view, everyone here, we're aiming for a 20. Yep. So as I said here, no matter how good or fancy your math is, if you do not write the right words and phrases, it's not a 20 out of 20. Xavier just said, how do I add notes to my criteria sheet on MacBook? I'm not a Mac user. I'm sorry, Xavier. I'm not sure if I can help you on that. If anyone else on the chat is a Mac user, maybe they can. But or else you're happy to just bring up a Word document and start making notes on there, because I'll be sending all these slides as well as the other resources at the end. Cool. All right. Is everyone ready to get on to the first criteria, which is, oh, before that, actually, the new syllabus. I've been getting asked a lot of questions about this new syllabus because teachers are talking about it and whether it affects you guys or not. Now, you guys are, I guess, luckily, the last grade to go through the old 2019 syllabus. So if you guys go on the website, I just thought I would include this for everyone watching the recording as well. It says here clearly, for implementation with students who will complete their study of course in 2026 or beyond. So this does not apply to us. You guys are completing the study of the course in 2025. So therefore, you guys are the last cohort to go through our old syllabus. And I'm emphasizing this now because when I had a look at the new syllabus and doing my due diligence, the criteria for the PSMT is slightly different. But I wanted to let you guys know that what I'm teaching you is still the same and updated to the most recent. So you guys are in good hands. That's all I wanted to kind of reassure you guys, that we're still under the old syllabus. Cool. Anyone have any questions before I get started about that or anything else? Yep. Thanks, Chad, for putting that on. Yep. People can join anytime. Cool. All right. Let's get started. So, formulate criteria. Now, hopefully you guys can all see this. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to break down each of these dot points. So if you're not used to the idea of writing an assignment according to dot point, that's what we need to get used to, because this is only one of many assignments you'll be doing this year through grade 12, where you have to write according to the assignment. I used to not. I just wrote it and maybe it sounds good. Oh, that's a 20. Maybe it doesn't. It's not a 20. But I came to realize that it's just the difference between someone that gets a 20 and someone gets a 19, 18, 17, or 16 is that guy wrote one word or a phrase that I didn't. And I'm like, that's so unfair. So once I knew the game and how to play the game, that's where I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to stick to the criteria. And that's what I want to be doing it for you guys as well. Cool. So let's get to it. Let's dive into the dot points itself. So it says documentation of appropriate assumptions, accurate documentation of relevant observations, and accurate translation of all aspects of the problem by identifying mathematical concepts and techniques. Now, as you guys might have noticed, only snip the top band for the criteria, because we're not aiming for anything less than that. Now, so the black is the dot point, the red is going to be the key to hitting those dot points, which is when teachers yell out this word documentation, it means that you need to explain to me the consequence of those assumptions. What does that mean? If you assume something, you can't just state it. You can't just tell me an assumption. The sentence straight after that is gonna be, oh, therefore, or hence, this was the consequence, or like, this therefore allowed me to do this. So you gotta springboard off that sentence. So I've been talking to teachers. In fact, me and Jen actually work with current head of departments as well. And what we're hearing is the fact that when they're marking this stuff, that's all they're looking for. And when I'm going through students' draft feedback as well in the last 3 years, that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for an assumption, and I'm looking for that therefore, or the sentence to explain the consequence of assumptions. Now, if that seems all kind of abstract concept to you, don't worry. We've got a bunch of exemplars coming that you guys will pick it up very easily. But just keep that in mind for now. Cool. Next, I have to include the most relevant assumptions and observations, bracket discerning selection. Now, this is something that I didn't really focus on until this year. And it's because we've been getting feedback in terms of when I teach this, I always refine what I teach. And I've realized that some people don't think about the assumption and the observations that they're putting in. They just randomly put it, or they put random ones that they feel like it. And I've seen people get marked down. So what I do want to emphasize to you guys is please make sure you write down the relevant or the most obvious assumptions and observations. Because if you don't write the obvious ones, and that's what it means by discerning selection. It means choose the correct, like choose carefully what you're choosing. So I really want to emphasize that. Don't just throw in every assumption or any assumption. Choose the right ones. Choose the most obvious ones that the teachers usually hint at during class. Now, I'm just going to try and move this around. Cool. All right. Now, does that kind of make sense to everyone so far? Any questions? Ask me. If you have a mic on, don't be afraid to just interrupt me. Yeah.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yeah, Julia, what's up?
So for our cohort feedback, the teacher said they didn't want us to use the word dominance, but
Yeah.
for a lot of these observations and assumptions, the whole point that we end up writing them is like, and then the explanation ends up being like, so we can use dominance matrices. So how would we overcome the issue where they don't want us to talk about dominance?
Right. As in the issue of that's very specific to your task, right? Of dominance matrices.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Well, how can you substitute the word dominance for something else is what you're asking, right?
Yeah. Or like that
yeah.
any you need to like explain it as for documentation.
Yeah, right. Is there a reason why your teacher's not allowing to use that word? Because I'm sure they still want you to explain the consequence of the assumption. It's just for some odd reason they're not allowing you to use a certain word for dominance, which is the topic of your math that you're doing.
Yeah. So the thing is they said dominance should only be used in mathematical techniques. Like as like from that point onwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was their reasoning.
I'm not sure at the moment that I can think of another word other than dominance that you can use. Yeah, I mean, not even the word matrices. Like, you don't even have to hint at the fact that it's a dominance matrices, but not even the word matrices itself.
I'm not sure about the matrices thing, but
yeah, that's probably the direction where I would kind of go towards. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All good. All right, cool. Yeah, that's a bit of a weird feedback. Cool. Retro, if you have a good amount of relevant assumptions and observations, but accidentally put a few irrelevant assumptions and observations, can you get marked down? Good question. If I was a marker, probably not. As long as I see the most obvious ones, I tick it off. And then if you see one or two that is kind of, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but hopefully unique or something that other students don't write, that's a brownie points. But yeah, that's all good. Now, so cool story, bro. How do I actually do it though? How do I, you're saying all this, explain to me the consequence of assumptions, have to include the most relevant, yada, yada, yada. But how do I actually do it? Show me an example. Boom, example of time. So let's have a read. When you guys are reading this, I want you guys to read the word observation or assumption. So either one of them. And once I state that in a sentence, hopefully you guys can pick up the sentence after it. And that's the consequence or what happens because of this assumption. Cool. Let's go. So the cross-section of a water slide was sketched onto graph paper. Observations reveal that the slide path must be comprised of at least 2 drops and 3 different differentiable types of nonlinear functions. Cool. Now, from here to here is the observation. Does everyone agree? Can everyone give me a thumbs up? Now, Xavier said, what's an example of an obvious assumption? Stuff like this, or assumptions or observations. So because this was directly from my task, like my task made me do this. So that was an observation that I made. Now, after the sentence, I better see what? I better see a therefore, hence, or consequently, or something that you're going to act up on the assumption or the observation. So what am I going to do? Now I've processed that observation, I go, therefore, trigonometric, parabolic, and exponential functions were considered. Cool. Nice. It can be as simple as that. I'm not sure if you guys were thinking when I said it has to be like 2, 3 sentences. It can be as simple as that. That's all the teachers are looking for. Next one. Further observations show that the horizontal distance from the base of the slide needed to be at least 60 meters. Cool. So I made that observation. Now, hopefully this is a good example or the differentiation factor between an observation and an assumption. A lot of people get confused, and I used to get it confused as well. An observation is something that you literally look with your eyes and it's there for you. It's stating explicitly, oh, you need this or this, a fact that you're just repeating. Whereas an assumption is something that you have to actually think about or take a little leap to say, oh, I'm going to assume probably this, or I'm going to think it's probably going to be this way. Does that kind of make sense? Do all observations have to link to the assumptions? No, actually, they can be different. But I will get to that question where it can be linked. Very good question, Laura. I actually addressed that in a couple of slides. But most of the time they can be separate, but sometimes in not rare, I would say, but in cases you can actually join them together. And I'll show you good examples after this. Cool. Now, what's my consequence of that observation or the fact that I read? Well, so I placed the exponential function at the end because its asymptotic feature allowed the slide path to reach 60 meters. Nice. So that is what I'm looking for right there. Something or consequence or so what? So you want to answer the question, so what? Because when I read the observations, I'm going to go, okay, so what? Answer the question, so what, for me in the next sentence after. Teacher will go, boom, tick, 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 tick. Cool. Xavier, what do you think is a good amount of observations? Yeah. It really depends on the teacher. I would say at least, 3 to 4. So 3 to 4 assumptions and 3 to 4 observations. Sometimes you can link them together, I think. That's not a standard thing. Don't take my word for it. But if someone asks me that question, that's like the baseline. Just to be safe. Cool. Next one. Boom. It was also assumed, here we go. So here's an assumption for you guys, that the winning margin did not determine dominance of one team over another. What does that mean? So for those of you watching the recording and in the Zoom right now that don't really know what dominance matrices or dominance is, it just means it's a concept in matrices where we place a placeholder of one or something of a higher value than another team. So what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that even though, let's say one team, we have 2 basketball teams, basketball team A and basketball team B. If basketball team A beat basketball team B by 1 point, you guys would think, wow, that was a close match. Versus if they beat them by 100 points, you guys are like, are they even in the same league or are they in a different league? Now, my assumption here is that it doesn't matter how much you win by, it does not determine how much one team is better than the other. That's all I'm trying to say. And can you guys see how that's an assumption, not an observation? Because that's not a fact. That's a thinking that I had to, or a decision I had to make to go forward with this PSMT task. So can everyone give me a thumbs up of now you guys can clearly see the difference between an observation and an assumption? Because ever since grade 10, when I started doing PSMTs, this is the most confusing thing ever. Can I get some thumbs up in the Zoom? Oh, yeah. Cool. Nice. Nice. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense to everyone. Cool. Let me know if I'm going too fast, too slow. Mainly too fast, because I like to take these things slow just so everyone understands it as we go. Cool. Now, if 2 isn't enough, we got more examples. Boom. Some new context. The population trends since the 1920s were analyzed in order to distribute the initial population. Now, here's the observation. So you guys notice how I'm actually using the word observation and assumption. So I expect you guys to do that as well, because when teachers reading your assignment, they're literally looking for those words. So why don't we just make it easier for them? So observations reveal that the initial populations are got it, which means regardless of the initial population, the age distribution and the growth factor always reach stability. Now, you don't really have to know what the task is or even the meaning of that. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I think your screen stopped sharing just then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so, unless I'm tripping.
I'm on my laptop and I can, yeah.
Oh, you can see it? Oh, I'm tripping,
Yep.
guys. Sorry.
That's all good. Nah, thanks for reminding.
It just
Yeah.
disappeared from my screen. Sorry, guys.
Nah,
All right,
that's all good.
continue.
Yeah, I've got my laptop on just to make sure it's like I can see it from my laptop.
All good, guys.
Cool. All right. So, as you guys can see, yeah, don't really worry about the context. Just know that, okay, here's an observation. Now, what are you guys expecting? A consequence. Boom. Therefore, so what? So what if the initial population got it? Therefore, the early 1990s population was used to determine the stable distribution percentages, the initial population was divided accordingly. So does that kind of make sense to everyone? See how the structure is very clear. Just state whatever your observation or assumption is, and after that, follow through with the consequence. Now, if that's not enough, we got one more. We got two more, actually. After the equations of the line of best fit for both lines were retrieved, the maximum length, yada, 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 cool. This process was done under the assumption that the line of best fit was symmetrical. And here we go. Okay, so it was line of best fit was symmetrical. So what? And hence, the axis of symmetry formula was able to be applied to find the turning point. Ah, right. So that's why I assumed that. So I can use that formula. Another one. Using a stopwatch, yada, yada, yada. Cool, I'm looking for the word assumption. Here we go. Hence, it was assumed that all drops were freefall and parabolic trend line could be observed when plotting the points into a scatter plot, allowing the model to be equated in the form this. So a bit of a weak link here, I would say, about, it should be, I'll probably separate the sentence. Don't try and do it in like one sentence like they did or I did here. I think this is mine, my grade 11 one, because then it kind of confuses the teacher. You want to make it as easy for the teacher to give you marks. This is not an English assignment where you actually have to show, not tell. We want to tell, not show. Yep. Cool. Now, if that wasn't enough, I need to make sure everyone in the recording and in the Zoom right now can understand. So I've got even more examples. Let's go through more of that. I know you guys are sick of it already. Boom. Appropriate assumptions and observations. Here we go. So it was assumed that the functions resembled the shapes of this. So hence, this allowed the graph to be formulated in the forms. I can do it in this form, and this form. Cool. It was assumed that the cosine started here and the minimum point was here. So what? As a result, this assumption allowed parameters to be deduced: the line of equilibrium, the amplitude, and the period. Cool. Boom. Appropriate points are selected. Yep, most functions, assuming unique features such as a turning point to efficiently derive functions. It was observed that formulating equations based on the connection points, this made the two functions continuous and was found to allow functions to be smooth. It was observed, and hence, here we go. You can clearly see the structure. Boom. Now, before I get to the frequently asked questions, well, before this, does anyone have any questions that's not on this page yet? We've gone through about 9 exemplars, and hopefully everyone's kind of sick of it by now. But hopefully you guys are more than eager to kind of apply that to your own assumption and observations that you guys already have, perhaps in your drafts. But yeah, any questions? Shoot it away. I'll wait about 30 seconds if people are typing. If not, we will continue on. But that's a big part, and to be honest, those are free marks. Those are the marks that we need to grab. Yep. No one has any questions? Everyone's good? Can I get thumbs up? Make sure everyone understands what we're all on the same page for the assumption and observations. Does everyone think we can get full marks for that now? Yep. Thanks, Laura. Richard, yep. Cool, cool, cool. All right, cool. Now, frequently asked questions. Number 1, where do I put assumptions and observations? Well, you can put, it depends on the teacher. Most of my teachers said you can kind of sprinkle it along with procedure section. And that's what I usually did. And you guys will be able to see that in the exemplars that I will be sending you after today's presentation on our Discord community. Now, other students that I've seen do it, which works perfectly as well, they just have a separate assumption heading and they just list their assumptions. They have an observation heading, they just list it down. That also works as well. Will be a general layout for a PSMT like intro? Yeah, perfect question. That will all be kind of, you'll be able to see it clearly on our Discord community with an exemplar, but to give you a general answer, what it's going to be like is an intro. I didn't put a structure up here specifically because it does vary a lot from school to school, teachers to teachers even. But it goes intro, then you have assumptions and observations, then a procedure, and that kind of sums off this dot point right here. So you're taking assumptions, you're taking observations. Now, this last dot point here, accurate translation of all aspects of the problem by identifying mathematical concept and technique, that is procedure. So what the hell is a procedure? Well, procedure is you explaining to the teacher what your whole assignment is, like line by line. So step number 1, I did this. 2, I did this. 3, I did this. So it's kind of like a recipe into you solving the actual task. And what my teacher said is, don't waste words, sprinkle it, link the assumptions and observations in within that, because at certain steps, you're using assumptions and observations. So she and he thought that was a very good idea, and that turned out very well. Question, Xavier. Which one out of sprinkling, assumption, observation through procedure, or having two different topics gives more marks? Yeah, as I said, it really depends on the teacher preference. I would ask the teacher myself. Both work perfectly fine. One can argue that the assumption and observation stating that separately is better because it makes it more clear for the teacher. But on the other hand, it makes your procedure look very good when you sprinkle it in, because then the teacher can exactly see at what step you're applying that. And that way you're hitting this thing of accurate translation of all aspects. So we've just investigated how to hit these first two. The last dot point is to make sure if you miss a step, so for example, if you're cooking, it's a cooking recipe and you missed an important step, boom, there goes your mark. So make sure you don't miss steps. Procedure is something that is easy to get marks on, but also easy to lose marks on. So that's something that I was always careful of, to make sure I didn't miss a single thing. Cool. Laura, can you just put it in the intro so that it is independent of the task sheet? Can you clarify that, what that means by that, Laura? Because an intro to me is like 100 words maximum, just about the task. It's just kind of summarizing the task. Cool. Getting more questions. Yep. When you say procedure, is that like when you are solving the problem? Exactly. So the procedure is more like, how did you actually solve the problem? What did you go from when the teacher gave you the task sheet to writing this up? So if people are at a stage where you haven't actually started the PSMT, the first thing is you need to actually do the math first. Yes, Laura, that makes sense. Yeah. You need to actually do the math first and then write it up. You can't write as you do it, because the PSMT actually has to be fully planned with your solution. And I'll tell you why, especially in the solve section. Now, on to the next frequently asked question, which is, can I combine assumption and observation? I think it was Laura that touched on that concept before, and definitely you can. I've got some exemplars right here. Now, it was observed that venues and crowd attendance rate varied in each game. Now, again, notice how that's an observation. That I don't assume that that's a fact. Like, I can just say, yep, it was different each game. Cool. So that's an observation. I'm seeing it with my eyes. I'm seeing the fact with my eyes. Now, hence, it was assumed that the attendance rate and home ground advantage did not affect team's performance. Now, that's an assumption, because you don't know if that actually affects the performance or not. It probably does. But for the sake of this task, I've decided to assume that it doesn't. Because now, I've said the observation, I've linked it. Instead of saying a consequence, I've actually made the consequence another assumption relating to that. Now, you can't end it there, though. We've got to finish off with the consequence. So consequently, these factors were not considered when formulating the dominance matrix. Simple. Cool. Tick, tick, tick. Now, if anyone is confused, here's another one. Similarly, it was observed that in round 1, Melbourne United had a 4 overtime game against Illawarra Hawks, and yet they played another game after 2 days. So again, that's an observation. I saw that fixture chart with my own eyes. I'm just reporting to you guys the facts. Now, therefore, it was assumed that individual players' conditions and skill levels were the same every game, and hence were not considered when formulating the dominance matrix. So again, very nice link between an observation and an assumption. Now, I wanted to touch on this, especially for those people that are doing matrices and dominance matrices. As I say, my big value for any assignment is you always want to be including something unique. Like, you always want to, because everyone is given the same task. Like, if all 30 people in your class got into a Zoom call like this and discuss, we could all pump out like 20 out of 20 assignment. You need to have that mindset of like, I want to include something that I'm proud of and that it's different. And this is one of them. That I actually went to look at the fixture and I found out perfectly that some game went overtime for 4 overtimes. That's insane. And next minute, they played another game 2 days after. Whether you're an athlete or not, hopefully you guys understand that's a crazy kind of turnaround of a game fixture. So I was like, well, that's going to be a problem. But then I go, right, in my math task, I'm not going to make that a problem. And I actually considered that. So that was something I would say, okay, I was pretty proud of pointing that out and making an observation and assumption. I want you guys to, when you're doing and planning your assignment, always pick out that stuff. And that will become way more important later on the solve section, which I'll show you guys. But I just thought I would introduce that kind of mindset in the assignment just so we can stand out. Because you got to imagine from a teacher's point of view, you're reading 30 of the same task. And most of the time, people are going to think the same stuff because it's not an exam. You don't have to think on the spot. You've got internet nowadays, ChatGPT, you've got friends. Everyone thinks around the same. So, and teachers know that. They've been teaching for ages. So you come up with something different, like 1 point, they'll be impressed. Cool. Now, any questions before we get to the solve section? Yes, Xavier, nice. What could I find if my task is about a set of sample data about reaction times? Yeah, so if you have any questions about the actual specific task, it's a bit hard for me to answer because I need a full context. But I do want you to think about the thing I want to impart on you guys to think about the idea of, ask yourself literally this question. Okay, what could I find myself different? And really try and look for something. This is just called high risk taking. Doesn't matter if it's bad or good. You can just always get it bypass your teacher. But the idea is you always want to be different. And not the whole assignment, of course, but at least elements here and there that make your assignment stand out, that show the originality of your assignment rather than just feel like one of many 30 assignments that you guys have. Cool. All right. Now, any questions before we get to the solve section? Give about 30 seconds to a minute for anyone writing it down. But now, that was out of 4 marks, that section. I'm expecting anyone and everyone here capable of getting 4 marks. Now, how would you do that if they only give class feedback and not individual? Yeah, I will address that later on. Yeah, very good question. It's like, because teachers for some reason are very gatekeepy about these PSMT stuff. Like any other subjects in draft, they give very nice draft feedback and like a nice worksheet, and they're willing to talk to you about it and stuff. But as soon as it comes to PSMT, they just like shut down and they go like, you know what, you do it yourself. And they just close it off. And I feel like it's a bit, that goes to show though, that you guys need to realize it's so easy to get a 20 that they don't even want to give you a feedback, because in case they slip up or give you a hint of getting a 20, then everyone's going to get a 20 and they're in a rough spot to actually distinguish, oh, she hit the criteria, but oh, he also hit the criteria. Oh, everyone hit the criteria. Cool. Now, onto the solve section. This section is huge. I cannot stress enough. Now, I've been tutoring for about 3 years now. I've helped privately on one-on-ones about at least 50 students over the past 3 years, including our QC mentor program, as Chad said, about 200 students. But the reason why I bring up the private tutoring is because that's where I actually help with individual PSMTs and stuff. But the QC mentor program, we also do that as well. So before I started QC mentor, what I was seeing is that I teach this stuff. I've been teaching this ever since I got out of high school. And not everyone came back with 20s. Most did. Most people got 20s, but there was always 1 or 2 people that weren't getting only 18s and 19s. Now, for you guys are like, what, 18s and 19s? That's so good. For me, absolutely not. If I teach you the formula, we have to get a 20. And I was trying to figure out, okay, what can I do? What is wrong? What's going on here? And when I got them to take a picture of their criteria sheet, even though they were not allowed to, sorry, teachers, just because we had to learn what was the mistake. Yeah, Xavier, so about the tutoring and stuff, we'll talk about, I think Jab will come on at the end and talk about the program. Yeah, thanks for the question. But as I was saying, we were talking about how people were coming back with 18s and 19s, and I looked at the criteria, and then we were like, oh, you're getting marked down in the solve section, especially this one. Accurate use of complex procedures to reach a valid solution, especially this criteria. And they kept losing 1 or 2 marks there. And the reason was this, because when I used to teach, before even today, I really don't teach how to do this section. The reason is because the task is different for every school, and I can't help individually, nor do I want to spoon feed you guys the answers to a task, because that's not my job as a tutor. My job isn't to give you the answer, it's to help you guys think and come up with an answer and tidy up the way you write it. And that's what I'm trying to do here. All I'm trying to do is help you guys communicate what the math is into nice writing that the teachers can easily see and tick you guys off. Now, but then people kept coming back with 18 and 19s, and I was like, okay, well, let me actually have a look at the solve section, because I'm not touching it. And then I realized that, okay, some students are getting marked down because, number 1, they're not doing it the most efficient way. Number 2, they're not doing it the most complex way. If there's a task, some people just do it a very simple way and they solve it. You're still solving it, but you haven't given enough thought or depth, I think is the important part. So I want you guys to think about that as well. I want you guys to really be like, right, I want a 20. Andy just told me that I can't resort to just simple solution. You got to go for the best or the most efficient. Doesn't have to be like some Einstein level, as I said, but definitely can't be something like from grade 10 or grade 9. Now, Laura, would there be any words that would get you a better mark, like observations and assumptions? Are you saying like what specific words I should use? To help you with that, I actually have a document of sentence starters. Again, I'm going to talk about it at the end about all these resources like my exemplars, Jazz exemplars. We're going to create a channel on Discord for our community and person there to help you guys with some of the word or sentence starters. Because I know for me at least, when I get a sentence starter, I can do the assignment so easily. I just need to start. So yeah, now Davey, it's so good. It's literally our mission. And this is one of our very first official event for the grade 11s going to grade 12s. We have our first cohort of grade 12s currently sitting the externals. So yeah, glad to kind of help the next batch of grade 12s. But as I was saying, yeah, this is the section that I usually didn't really touch up on, but I realized people weren't getting full marks. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and see what I can do to help. And this is what I've come up with. And this is the first time me actually presenting to anyone officially about how to actually do this section. So any of my private students or any students with us, sorry you didn't get this. But here we go. The big source. So as I say, usually I used to not help it solely. I don't like to really spoon feed the stuff. This is the real crux of the actual math. If I do this for you, then I might as well attend school myself. Now, the hardest marks to hit though is accurate use of complex procedure to reach a valid solution. That first dot point right there. Always see some of my students not getting that. They come back with 18 and 19. Now, here is how to actually hit that. Number one, there's a big fancy word called refinement that these teachers like to use a lot. And what that means is you need to be able to refine, just basically fancy word means to improve your model. What's a model? Well, a model is just your answer to the problem or the solution. The answer is usually in forms of like equations. So for example, I'll show you guys will see in the water slide example that I did. One of my tasks was to design a water slide. So what's your model or what's your solution? Well, my solution was like 3 or 4 equations that describe the path of the slide. So that's what I mean. If I use the model from now on or refinement, those are what I mean by that. And it's important for you guys to understand those meanings as well, because then we can actually write those words in our assignment. And as Laura said, she was like, I think this is what you meant, Laura. Sorry if I got it wrong. But she was like, would there be any words that will get you better marks, like observation and assumption? And yes, words, I will touch on those words every time. In this criteria, the words are like refinement and model or solution. Yep. Cool. Checking with your teachers or peers, how much do you care? Now, what does this mean? It means you might not be the most I know I'm not the most intelligent person in my class, neither any class that I go to. But what do I know? I know that I can talk to my teachers for help. I can ask my friends, right, how did you do this? Or I can kind of communicate because I know I want the 20, right? I knew grade 12 is the important part. And I'm like, okay, I can think of a solution myself. I can even get Google or ChatGPT to help, but I want to make sure what I have here is complex enough, because you might think it's a very nice complex solution, but the teacher might not. And I don't know about you guys, but a little sidetrack, I experienced that a lot with like short stories and English as well. I thought it was like a great idea. And next thing the teacher's like, nah, not good enough. I could see that from a mile away. I was like, okay. And I just got shut down. I don't know if you guys ever feel that through English, but this is kind of the same thing where it's like you might think what you've done in math is very complex or very good, but teachers might not think that. Does that point kind of make sense? Can I just get a thumbs up mid-checking? Make sure everyone is listening in well. For those watching the recordings as well, I guess. Cool. Yep. Nice. Cool. Yeah. So, yeah. Last point, as I've always been emphasizing, give me something unique. Like, give me something that you're proud of, or the refinement. Now, since teachers gatekeep, I don't think they can really comment about that. Yes, agree. But what you can do is you can there's not a single teacher on earth that does not have enough compassion. The problem becomes when students come and ask for a solution. There's a difference between I go to a teacher and I go, oh, what do you think about this? Or how do you do this? Versus you go to them with already a made solution, with your thought process, and you just want a little confirmation. It's like, Do you think I'm on the right track? Or do you think this is complex enough? Do you think I can hit this criteria? There's not a single teacher that won't give you an answer to that. Because they want you to do well. Like, and you take that initiative, especially as I will touch on later, no emails. Like, you can email to see a teacher, but obviously before school, after school, lunchtime, you got to show the commitment. Like, if you want to get the 20, it's about showing the commitment to the teacher, and eventually she will open up and she'll be like, oh, it's a complex solution, or oh, nice, that's good. Now, what I'm not saying, hopefully most people don't misunderstand, what I'm not saying is beg the teacher to give you a spoon feed the solution. Go see your teacher every single day and bug them. That's not what I'm saying, because you don't need to do that, get the marks. What I'm saying is take the initiative, or take the first step of thinking about the solution on your own. Show the teacher you made the effort and the conscious effort to actually think about a solution and not come to them just to get the answer, and just confirm with them. Now, if they're a teacher that doesn't even want a slightest bit of commenting or verifying your solution, that's fine, whatever. Now, here we go. The formula for the solve. So the first one is, this is the formula of how to actually solve. So when you guys are solving your task, this is what I want you guys to think about. There's always going to be a basic way to do it. Now, what does that mean? I'll give these are exemplars, which I'll go through, but this is the basic. The first line is the basic model for any PSMT task, because I have to create this generalized thing for most, because everyone's from different schools, everyone's got different tasks. So general thing is, think about something simple first. How would you do it? Just very simply. It can be something grade 10 or grade, unrealistic, simple, as long as you have a model. What's the model again? Fancy word for solution. So then you show them, okay, I did it this way. And then you go, okay, well, now there's a problem with this. And you tell them, right, there's a problem. What is wrong? You outline them for them. So it's kind of like you're thinking ahead already. You know there's a problem, but you're still using it. Why are you using it if you know there's a problem already? You're showing the teacher your thought or your progression of you completing the task. That's what the teachers want to see. A teacher doesn't want to see a final Einstein level answer. A teacher wants to see, how did you go from the first day you got the task and your brain switched on to a week later when you realize, oh, I can actually do it a more better way. Actually show that progression in your assignment. Don't give me the better solution. If you think of a better solution than what you have already now, perfect. Put that as a refinement. So after that, then you give a more complex model 2 right here. Yep. Cool. Now, I'm just going to, here we go. That's a lot better. Now, oh, give me a second, guys. Oh, there we go. Right. Cool. Oh, so if it's wrong, but it's just not accurate enough, is it fine if you justify why it's wrong? Exactly. So it doesn't have exactly. It can be complete. I can't see again. Yeah. Is it maybe this? Can anyone not see the screen anymore? Yeah. Can you guys see the screen? The little box is fine. Yeah. Xavier, let me know if there's a problem with seeing the screen. I was just trying to remove the little box so people can actually see. Oh, right. That's what you mean. Yeah. Sorry. Here we go. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that's a very simple and yet nice structure to think about. Now, you can do more than one refinement. So this is a refinement. When you go from a simple to a complex, what are you doing? You're identifying the problem. You're telling the teacher why it's bad. It can be inaccurate. Definitely. Like, that's exactly what I want. I want something that's simple, but it's not accurate enough. And then you go, hold on a minute. Why is it not accurate? And therefore, I'm going to fix it. Fix, what's a fancy word for that? Refine. Refine, and then come up with another model. Now, you can do another refinement, but that just means your word count. You're going to have to watch out for that, because you have to explain why. Unless it's the same type of refinement, which is a rare case, which I do in one of my assignments as well. Cool. Now, does that simple stuff make sense? Because the bottom next to are kind of exemplars of what I have. Now, some thumbs up, because that's a pretty abstract concept that you guys might not have thought about. At least maybe some of you guys that have done PSMTs already in grade 11 or grade 10, that you guys might not have thought of. Right, I probably should have thought about this before I actually do the math. I always do that. Before I even open a Word document to start, I already know what my simple model is going to be and what my refinement is going to be. That's how you start it. So being proactive in thinking about this stuff, pre-opening your Word document and starting to write it. Cool. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Yep. Good, good, good. Cool. Everyone is happy. All right, cool. Let's get to some exemplars now. So what does that actually look like? So we've got a water slide basic model. So what does that mean? So I had to create a water slide, and I just created with 3 equations. I just created a basic model. And then I went to say, okay, what are some problems? Now, here are the buzzwords that we need to use. Number 1, reasonableness. Pretty much saying, is your thing good enough? Is your thing reasonable? Literally the word reasonable. Is it realistic enough? Second word that you want to sprinkle in is utility of the model. Now, it's a big one that I got marked down in grade 11 for not using it. That's why I honed it in a lot. Is the idea of how usable or how user-friendly is your solution? Meaning, if I was to actually create this water slide in real life, do you think I can do it? Do you think it's realistic? Do you think it's reasonable? Does this make sense? Because this is big. This is the huge part. Can I get a thumbs up? I know we just did a thumbs up, but again, this is an important part. I want to make sure everyone understands it before we go ahead. Yeah, cool. Yeah, Laura Prashant, sure, thank you. Cool. And then I go to, right, I'm going to think about another model that fits the guidelines. Now, I'm actually going to show you guys this. Cool. So, right here, this was my first model. And you guys see, this is what I mean by a model. If you guys actually put this on a technology or Desmos, you guys will see a water slide. Do I have a picture of that? Oh, kind of like that. Well, that's on Desmos. But that's what I came up with initially. Yep. So 1, 2, 3, 3 parts of the water slide. But then I was like, okay, that's all good. But here's some problems with it. However, when evaluating the model's utility, here we go. That fancy word utility. The current model did not meet the requirements from the guidelines devised by these guys, I'm not going to even try and pronounce that, Ministry of Health. Number 1, the maximum angle of the slide runway at the exit shall be between 0 degrees and 11 degrees. Number 2, the maximum drop height at the terminus of the slide or end of the slide shall not exceed 110 centimeters or 1.1 meters. Now, this was something that I was very proud of as well, to point out the fact that, oh, this is the unique point that I'm talking about. Most people, when they refine, it's like they change domains or they do something else. But for me, I was like, I need to show the teacher I'm actually thinking about a refinement. So I went ahead and I Googled what are the actual, to make it realistic, what are some health hazard or health or mathematical requirements so that the slide is safe. And I found this random Ministry of Health document, a government document that said, right, number 1, that's your requirement. Number 2, that's your requirement. And I was like, nice, perfect. I'm going to include that in my assignment. And then I was hoping my initial model didn't fit, because then I can say, right, then I can fix it. And luckily it didn't fit. My initial model did not meet this requirement, which is good, because then I can be like, oh, here's my basic one. But according to the official government guidelines, there were some problems with it. It wasn't reasonable because it didn't meet it. It's not realistic enough for me to actually use it for real, like a movie world or something. Boom. And then here we go. After explaining it, after redoing it and fixing, adjusting a little bit here and there, this was my second model. And you can see it's not a completely different answer. Hopefully you guys understand that a refinement is not a completely different answer. It's little adjustments to make your thing more reasonable and user-friendly. Cool. So if you didn't have these guidelines, would you compare your calculator function to a graphics calculator, Desmos calculator function? Yeah, very good question. That is something, yes. So when you want to hit this idea of problem or reasonableness, yes, that is if you can't think of any refinement, one way to do it is using technology. But that's a baseline thing. So, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, as Laura said, you can do it like that, but sometimes if you have another way to think of a refinement, you can. But yes, I completely agree. You can use and you should use technology, but you can use that as a basis to go like, oh, okay, it's not good enough. Now, ironically, on my assignment, so the same water slide assignment, so I plotted it on Desmos, and then I was showing each individual parts, and I was actually saying it's actually quite reasonable. When you compare to technology, everything kind of fits. Everything matches what the mathematically, in theory, what it should look like. And I was like, okay, cool. So, but that's exactly the thing. According to technology, my thing was good, but I didn't want to just say that. I wanted to make a refinement because I was eager to make a refinement. So I was like, so technology is saying it's good. What else can I do outside of the scope? How can I think outside the box? And then I go, boom, guidelines. So to answer your question, Laura, a bit more clearly, yes, 100% compare with technology because that is part of your assignment. You can use that to springboard off of refinement. You can be like, oh, look at the technology. It's not quite well. So I'm going to adjust my model here a bit here and there. That's perfect. But as I said, you guys are different though. So what Laura is saying, everyone's already doing that. What I want us to do is think of something a bit more outside the box and kind of incorporate it in. Stuff like the guideline stuff. I'll give you guys another example as well later on, but I think this is a more understand, like this is an example. I chose this one because a lot of the different ones you actually need to sort of know the task to actually understand why it's a refinement. But for the water slide one, this one's pretty obvious. This kind of, I hope that gave you guys an insight into what I mean by a good refinement and the fact that you even need a refinement. I feel like maybe some people didn't quite know that you need to even refine or what even refinement is or how to even approach the solve section. But this is exactly the roadmap to make sure we get a complex procedure enough. Complex means that's what it means by complex. Yep. Thumbs up, everyone. Does that make sense? I know that was a big chunk. I'll give about 30 seconds to a minute for everyone to ask questions. There's no such thing as dumb questions. I'm happy to answer every one of them. Keep the questions coming along. You guys are doing great.
I never used to be like that. That's my problem. I think that used to be really good, but when you really teach someone who's sort of teaching Lockie the wrong way to work, that's why I'm trying to teach Lockie the right way to work. Because I got Jake when he was good. I got Jake when he was in his good headspace at the start.
Sorry, K block on top. Do you wanna
So I knew
change
how
your
to
name?
work. Then I worked with Josh Nielsen, which helped. Then I,
Sorry, I can't quite hear you because your mic is kind of off. Yeah. Do you want to change the name? K block on top, just to make sure I know you're
I
actually
said to
one
Lockie, who's this guy? Like, he's so nice.
Maybe I
I
might
said to Lockie, why do you
try and
do
mute this
nothing?
guy.
You're just standing there. Just bullshit, no direction over him. I feel bad for him. The guy would be bored shit.
Boom, here we go. All right, cool. I don't think he was anyone that should be here anyway. Cool. All right, cool. Hopefully that was not someone that. Oh, okay. Never mind. They actually asked a question. I'm not sure why they didn't respond to us. Hopefully they can join back. I just removed them, but asking is this like calculus because it looks like calculus. Yes. Yeah, we'll keep going, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure I didn't just kick out someone that should be here. But I mean, I asked a couple of times to change their name. I couldn't really hear from the background noise what they were saying as well. But yeah, cool. We'll keep moving on. So anyone else have any questions? Oh, here we go. Sorry, Joe. Just got distracted. I didn't even see your question. Do you have to show how you consider the refinement and why it's a good refinement? Yes, exactly. So when you refine, you have to be like, okay, this is why I need to refine. You need to give a reason. Why do you need to refine? Don't just go, oh, I have model one. I'm going to refine to model two. Teacher's going to be like, what are you doing? What are you wasting your time for? You got to tell me why. And the why is easy to do because then you say your initial model had a problem. That's a very good why. If something has a problem, I think it's everyone's task to solve the problem, right? If there's a problem, you're going to fix it. So that's a very nice, easy way to be like, okay, cool. There's a problem. I want to fix it. Now, everyone. So do you talk about this after all the solving or straight after the issue? Straight after the issue. So you incorporate it within the results of discussion part. So there's no actual heading called the solve part. It's just results of discussion. And when you're all you're doing is you're telling the teacher how you solved it and you're sprinkling it here and there. So model one, I refined it. Here's my model two. Cool, cool, cool. All right. We're gonna get a move on. But let's keep going. All right. Boom. Frequently asked question. What about verifying with technology? Yep. Already answered that. You can do it before, during, and after. Yeah. So yes, I've already answered that as well. Is it good when compared with technology? Yeah. And this is what Gerard was saying is like, is it good when you compare to technology? Why is it good or why is it bad? I want to know the why. So again, you guys notice the common theme is always the why. I want to know why something is good or why something is bad. That's like the common theme. Yeah. Cool. All right. Now, so yeah, something about technology here. Now I'm going to touch on it, but the formatting is also I wanted to touch up on that. I think I've addressed that to a couple of our students already, like Gerard and Julia. Now, I know where a lot of people lose marks as well, so pay special attention here. First up point, evaluation or reasonableness, solution by considering results, assumptions, and observations. Now, we've kind of already done that. I like to do an assignment when I take over the student experiments and research investigations as well when they come out for you guys. I will emphasize that I like to put like, I guess, a barrier or a safety net sprinkled throughout my assignment to make sure if any of the teachers go, right, I don't really see how that's an evaluate reasonableness, I can just go, oh, I have another one here if you want to have a look at it. Or, oh, I have another one here if you want to have a look at it. So we've already done that, but I'm going to make sure to show you guys how to do that again. Documentation of relevant strengths and limitations. So again, this is where I talk about strengths and limitations. And again, justifications of decision made using mathematical reasoning. So dot point 1 and 3 should be when you're talking about your actual model and your solution. It should be sprinkled throughout. Yep. Cool. As I said, yep, we have sprinkled it in already. Literally word by word, evaluate the reasonableness by considering the results, assumptions, and observations. What does that mean? I literally want you guys to evaluate the reasonableness, so what we've already talked about, but you need to refer back to the assumptions and observations that you talked about before. That is very important. So if you don't talk about what you've already kind of said before and don't link it back, they're not going to mark it correct and they're not going to give you the mark. So that's so important. So we'll show you examples, but it's literally as easy as you want to signpost the teacher, right? I'm evaluating the reasonableness of my model, but based on my assumption that I made before, I don't think it's quite reasonable. Or based on my observation before, maybe this is not as reasonable as I think. Now, how do I document strengths and limitations? Documenting strength is referring back to the result again, referring back to the results or the model or the solution and justifying why it is a strength. It's so important. So always referring back to your assumptions, observations, and your result. If I'm a teacher and I'm marking, and I know because we've been talking to teachers, they are looking for, okay, cool. Does Julia have reasonableness? Is she linking? Am I seeing word assumptions and observations here in the evaluate section? Oh, yep, there we go. She's linked it. Boom, tick. If I don't see that, I'm not giving you 4 marks. Cool, Gerard. Is it fine if my strengths and limitations are basically the same as the assumptions that I've already evaluated? Well, it can't be the same. You have to link it and use it, if that makes sense. So you can't restate an assumption, but you have to say, okay, you can be like, okay, I assumed things initially, but after I solved it, you realize this is a limitation because it limits me from doing A, B, and C. That is what I'm talking about, where you link it in. And hopefully, I think maybe that's what you're talking about as well. So the first model could be a limitation. Yes, but I wouldn't mention that because you've already kind of said at the top that it was a problem already. So if you already say it's a problem before and you say, oh, first model was a problem, teachers are going to be like, oh, repetition. I'm not really seeing how you're coming up with more limitations. So Laura, I'll probably stick to that in the solve section. Cool. Now, justification decision using mathematical reasoning. Yep, already sprinkled. So this is the sentence starters that I want everyone in this watching the Zoom and currently in the Zoom to use when they're talking about strengths and limitations. The strength of the model was boom, 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 boom. This was a strength because now, if you use these sentence starters, it is impossible. And I want to reiterate, it is impossible for a teacher to mark it down unless, and I have seen it once because I taught a student to use it, unless, same thing with assumptions and observation. If you have a strength or a limitation that's like not the obvious ones or the ones that you definitely think it should be a strength or something that's not really a strength, then it's going to be a problem. So sentence starters, I'm providing you guys with sentence starters. I'm providing you guys with the things to write, but the thing you guys have to be responsible and checking yourself is to make sure the strength is actually a strength and a limitation is actually a limitation. Cool. And that comes again with talking to your teachers and your peers. It's not a solo work here with the PSMT. I know they say it's an individual task, but the more we kind of try and gauge at that level of just collaborating, asking other people, is like, oh, do you guys think it's a strength? That's all good. We have a recipe to write it. We just need to go for the ingredients. Boom. Example time. So strength. The model's domain was from 0 to at least 50 years if the final exponential trend would continue in graph 3. This was a strength because, so notice how I go, all right, that was a strength. I probably should have said, oh, this one of the strength is, I probably should have started with that. This was a strength because the model could be easily used by ecologists to investigate other trends of other species population for at least 50 years. So in simple words, I was saying, okay, I developed the equation or the model, just like kind of like a water slide thing, but for population. And it was for 50 years. It accounted for 50 years. And I'm saying, damn, that's good. Other people can use that for other species. And for 50 years, that's a long. Like most species don't even live up to 50 years. So that's why I said it was a strength. But the main important part is the structure. Next, the model was also limited because, so this one I started off slightly differently. I explained the reason first. The Leslie matrix and hybrid model only considered this. The model assumed, so again, this is where I talk about, oh, you're linking in the assumptions. Now, someone could be like, oh, what are you linking in here? I don't see the word assumption observation. I'm linking in the result or my model. So that's all good as well. So it could be either your result or your model, assumptions and observations. I would in fact have at least one of them each. So the models assumed that the population was not exactly one-to-one because each sex was not given. Thus, in terms of the utility, or here we go, fancy word again, utility, meaning how user-friendly is my model, how realistic is it, the model was not reasonable to use in other ecological scenarios as it was unlikely the species had exact one-to-one ratio of females to males. Now, more. Cool. Weaknesses, the exponential. Now, just talking about this. When I was doing my PSMTs, teachers said I needed weaknesses and limitations, but to be honest, they couldn't even themselves really tell me the difference. I could sort of see the difference, but now I think from looking at other students in this year as well, I don't think, and looking at the criteria as well, I don't think you need a separate weakness section. But maybe check that with your individual teachers, but I don't think that's a requirement anymore. It used to be, but not anymore. Now, meant that the initial population had this. However, as observed with the Leslie matrices, only reached this. So again, observations and also my result as well. Hence, this was a weakness because, so again, all teachers are looking for is three things. Number one, did he or she state the weakness? Did they link it to observation, assumptions, or results? And did they say why it's a weakness? Boom. Straight formula right there. So again, hopefully you guys are seeing the pattern of how, oh, cool. I wasn't not getting, like, the reason why I wasn't getting 20 is because I was dumb, because my math was bad. It's just I didn't have someone telling me to write these words to get the marks. Does that kind of make sense for you guys? Thumbs up for everyone if that kind of makes sense, because that's kind of the whole theme for today. Yeah. Yes, so that is the difference to weakness and limitation. Yeah, but in PSMTs, as Jad said, that is the difference. But in PSMTs, they don't require weaknesses anymore. I believe, as we see in the criteria. And I've asked a lot of teachers as well, students as well. Their teachers go, nah, we don't do it anymore, which is good. So we're gonna have to think about extra stuff. Cool. Another one, if we're already not sick of it already by now, it was observed that refinement of translating functions vertically did not affect the derivative function and hence the acceleration, yada, yada, yada. Thus, the model was deemed to be easily adjustable to suit other needs without changing the steepness, building that require modifying the height of the water slide. So again, linking back to observation and results. And so what is missing here, though, I should have said, or they should have said, you should have said the model was, this was a strength because. So I probably would have said this was a strength because the model was easily adjustable. I can easily adjust it to suit other people's needs when they're trying to create water slides themselves. Cool. Now, if that's not enough, I've got even more for you guys to make sure everyone here understands it before we go. So I want everyone here to be confident when they go away. Boom. Some more stuff. So some NBL teams play more than others each round compared to sports such as football, where one team only plays one opponent each round. Hence, they would have insufficient data. In NBL, however, most played team each other by end of round 6. This was deemed the strength because more practical data was available, strengthening the accuracy. Boom. Next. Model was refined multiple times, but was still simple as only up to third water was considered. Sorry. This was strength because, boom. And it was assumed to continue, linking this strength to model's utility. So again, a very advanced thing here, where we're going from strength and linking it to model's utility. Because remember, I told you guys, we have to sprinkle in those words. So if you're reading your assignment, you have to be like, right, do I have these words? Do I have these buzzwords? The model was deemed easy to utilize for other unfinished sporting competitions because only up to third order influence was considered. Cool. Now, does that kind of make sense before I go to the communicate section, everyone?
Can I ask about the one of the strengths? It was about the model.
Yeah.
How come if you use better data that strengthens the model? Like,
Oh, right. The reason is because when you this is a very specific context of dominance matrix, but I know you're doing dominance matrices, so hopefully you understand this. But when you're doing dominance matrices, the more data you have, the more accurate it is. I think that's established also by the idea of second order and third order influence.
Is-
So when you have more, sorry, yeah, what were you gonna say?
is the model literally just using dominance matrices or like your actual application of the data?
The model is literally using the dominance matrices, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
would that mean using more data just makes it seem more accurate? Or
Yes, exactly. Because we've got more actual data, we don't have to guess stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Does that kind of make sense, Julia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right, Richard, are these different to strengths and limitations of the solution? No. So when they say strengths and limitations of the solution, same thing. Remember, solution, model, same thing. Fancy words. Cool. Now, so hopefully by the end, you guys, it'll be hard for you guys because what I've done is I've gone through individual criteria and individual sections. So everyone probably knows how to actually write individual dot points, but I'm sure all of you guys wanting to see kind of what does it actually look like to see the whole assignment. I'm on my iPad right now, so I can't actually display the whole assignment. But what I am going to do is, along with the PowerPoint, we are going to attach on our Discord community. So anyone watching the recording as well, make sure to join the Discord community to make sure you get access to the assignments. So now when you go away after today's session, I want everyone to just scroll through, just have a brief scan and just identify, right, that's where it goes. All right, that's where Andy put it. Because every example I hear, I got it straight off those for you guys. So yeah, to really complete the big picture, hopefully you guys can do that. Cool. Communicate. There's nothing really to say here. I don't really see anyone losing marks unless your grammar or vocab or your just isn't good. Yeah, like nobody loses marks here. So nothing really here that I would even I would say, as someone who's very careful about the criteria and stuff, have to really worry about. Cool. Now, before we get to some final tips, any questions? Any last minute questions about the content or some final tips that I will be giving? Any final questions? Or if not, thumbs up in the chat. Make sure everyone is actively. Can you repeat the communication part, please? Yeah. So Xavier, as I was saying, there's not much really here that you have to intentionally write, like what we've talked about in the other three sections, because it's just communication in terms of just using the vocab, correct grammar, just being concise. So if you're not writing concisely, or if you're going over the word limit and stuff, this is where you'll get marked down. Yeah, just formatting and stuff, exactly. Even I said, like, you don't really need to worry about this. Cool. Now, yep, that's all good, Xavier. All right, cool. Now, final tips, formatting. This is important. Now, maybe if you don't mind, Julia or Gerard, as we've already touched on, do one of you guys or both of you guys, maybe in the chat or turning mic, want to share with us what I mean by formatting? Because I think I've already addressed this to you guys before. What do I mean by formatting?
Yeah, you said something about making the assignment really easy to read.
Yeah.
And like easier to follow, so the teacher can easily allocate the marks.
Exactly. Yes. Now I just realized I can actually do this. Forget what I said about, oh, you need to you have to wait until after class to see the whole assignment. What I can do, I'll have to do it a bit after though, because then it will unshare my iPad screen. But what I can do is I'll just quickly share the assignment right at the end, just before I let Chad speak. But yes, as Jura said, it's about making it look neat, tidy, and easily readable and easily identifiable. Because the whole game of today was telling the teacher it's there. It's not like English where you have to show, you have to kind of hint at it. Don't actually tell them. We want to tell them, right, it's there. Here are the buzzwords. Teacher, give me the ticks. And that's going to be hindered if you have a very messy format. And if you guys look at my book and assignments, I'm not the neatest guy either. But when it came to PSMTs, I had to, yes, subheadings, topics, everything, exactly. And I had to make sure that I was spot on when I'm talking about formatting. And here are some couple of as you guys can kind of see here, I'll give you guys a little, as you guys can see, what are some features that makes my thing a bit more neat than let's grab someone else's PSMT that is a lot easily readable and followable, looks a bit more professional than just pasting a bunch of pictures and words. Number one, we've got label color diagrams of the actual graph axes, as well as this thing's huge, the border. For some reason, for me at least, it's a personal preference, but that makes it a lot more professional with these borderline text boxes as well. Figure legends with these shapes pointing out exactly what I'm talking about, not just pasting in an image and then directly putting in figure legends as well as a paragraph after. I'll show you guys the rest of the assignments later, right after we finish the slides. But that's what I mean by formatting. So I want you guys, if you're not already someone like me who's like, I'm not one of those guys either who really organize or care about the formatting, PSMT is the one time you want to do it because teachers print it out and they read it. I don't want to read something that doesn't look good. Like that's just everyone, right? When something looks good, nice and tidy, it's got margins, it's got nice borders, it's got figure legends, it's nice and tidy, not everywhere. I want to read it and I want to give these people marks. You're not going to get extra marks for it, but you might save yourself from losing marks, but it will make your assignment, the things that we're trying to do intentionally, pop out a lot more better. And that was one of the biggest tips I gave for last year as well. Now, I've given you guys a recipe. I need you guys to go, quote, shop for the ingredients so you guys can, quote, cook. So all I've done today is I haven't solved any of you guys' actual math or the problem because, again, I'm not spoon feeding you guys. But what I have done is I've told you guys, right, if you get the ingredients for me, this is what you need to do. I've told you guys the sentence starters. I'm going to attach that PDF as well, the resource that I have with the sentence starters, as Laura touched on before. I'm giving you guys everything but the responsibility that you guys need to take for yourself because this is your first assignment that actually counts towards ATAR. Anything you did before this didn't even count. University won't even know it. In fact, they don't even care what you got in grade 11. Some needs to actually correct me on that. There are some scholarships given on grade 11 results. But that's what I mean by the importance of 20 out of 20. Like, how much do you actually care to a point where you actually want to go shop for the ingredients, actually do the math, and follow the recipe that I'm giving you guys? Because as you guys saw today, it's not suddenly a very hard job to get a 20 out of 20. Like, you might be wondering, how have I not been getting 20 out of 20 if all it took was write a bunch of words to make teachers happy and tick those boxes? But that's what me and Jad are here for, to show you guys and teach you guys the things that maybe teachers don't explicitly say to you guys, because obviously their background is I can't give everyone 20s, so I have to make sure I only say a couple of this stuff in here and make sure the teachers or students figure it out. But me and Jad, we want all of you guys to get 20s. In fact, that's our goal. So that's why we're doing all this stuff. At lunchtimes before school over email, of course, as I touched on before, it just shows you the commitment. Like, there's not a single teacher that will think you're a slack if you come at lunchtime before school. I know it sounds cringe, but how badly do you want the 20 out of 20, right? This is the time where you want to talk about, oh, teacher, do you think I've justified my strength? Or, oh, teacher, do you think this strength is reasonable? Or, oh, teacher, do you think my refinement is good enough here? Or, oh, teacher, do you think my solution is complex enough? What do you think about my refinement? Going from basic simple model to the problem to the more complex solution. Or do you think this assumption is the obvious ones? That have I missed anything? And again, the idea of don't go to them without an answer that you've already thought about or you've taken the effort to think about it yourself. Yeah. So many things you can check before draft sheet. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean by that. Add one element to stand out. Yeah. So as I said, one element, only one is all you need. Doesn't have to be big. It can just be an assumption or observation. I just want to give you guys a chance to think about. Include something in there that you're proud of, right? You can go, right, I'm sure that maybe only one or two people might have figured that out in class. It's very unique. It's something that makes you stand out. And that's all I've been gunning for every PSMT. Every PSMT, you want to look for that. Because we don't want to be like every one of those 29 people. And I'm not expecting some Einstein level, as I said. It just takes effort. And nowadays, you don't even have to sit there and think about this stuff. You can use ChatGPT as prompts. Google. Do you guys think I sat down and thought about, oh, maybe I should think about the Ministry of Health requirements? I was just flicking through Google water slides and I was looking at how to actually build a water slide. I was like, oh, there are actually requirements for that or specific guidelines. And I was like, wait, I can use that as my refinement. So yeah. Yeah, Laura, yeah. That's probably because you're from a rural school. Most metropolitan schools like Mansfield, State High, Grammar, we usually have around 30. Yeah. Um, but yeah, small classes means it's better actually. Just because then your teacher's not going to be gatekeeping and you can actually interact with the teacher a bit more. Now, resources such as sentence starting, exam plans, all on Discord. So anyone watching the recording as well, yeah, 30 people on the whole cohort up in Cairns, yeah. Resources and stuff all on Discord community. So anyone watching this, if you share it with your friends and stuff, please, it's all free out there for you guys. Our mission is to help everyone get 20 because this is your first piece of assessment. Now, before I let Jad talk, yeah, it's not up there yet, Xavier. Sorry, it's going to be uploaded after. Just before I let Jad talk, actually, never mind. I'll just upload it all and you guys will be able to see. Cool. I just want to say a final thing though about just, I guess, spreading out our resources. It is QC Mentor copyright, I guess, with our logos and stuff and with our assignments as well. So don't mind sharing it with your friends and stuff, but we don't want it going all over the internet. Well, maybe not gatekeep because we don't promote that as well. I want you guys to share it with your friends. Bring your friends into the Discord, which is what we want. So don't send it to them. Send them the link so then they can actually be in our community as well. So then they can actually see it. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Cool. All right, cool. That wraps it up for me. Thank you so much, guys. And I'll leave it up to Jan now to talk a little bit more about our program coming up and our Discord community, which is kind of new. Cool. Take it over, Jan.
Yeah, no, really exciting stuff. Thanks, Andy. How do we all find that, guys? How do we all find that? How confident do we feel with our PSMTs? Let me just gauge. How confident do we feel with our PSMTs before we attended today? How confident
Yeah,
do we
let's
feel
get some
before
reviews.
we attended? Before we attended.
So I want everyone to typing up kind of like their thoughts. Can be a paragraph. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep. Task sheet is confusing. Yeah. So the task might be confusing, but the criteria is same across every school.
14
Yep.
out of 20, hopefully to a 20 out of 20. Yeah, for
Exactly.
sure.
That's what we're aiming for.
Good stuff.
Good.
Cool.
21 out of 20. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, nice. So everyone kind of understands that's the main theme. I've given you guys the recipe, the actual sentence starters, what to include. All you guys need to go away now is actually solve it for us. And just communicate that through. Cool. I'll let Jad take over.
And, yeah, that's really good stuff. Awesome. So yeah, very exciting stuff. I won't hold you guys up for too long because I know it's getting a bit late. But we got some, let me just say, we got some very exciting stuff that we're personally cooking up ourselves for 2025. I already mentioned QC Mentor. We've been around for almost a year. And I'll just let the results on our Instagram, I'll just let them speak for ourselves. So many students have been doing so well since we've started, and we want to make it even better for you guys. And I kid you not, guys, we are trying to make this an unfair ATAR advantage to whoever is in this Discord. And part of what we're going to be doing is we're going to be utilizing a learning method that I think is the blueprint to QC success. Having seen multiple students that are in the 99+ ATARs, the multiple mentors on our team, myself, Andy, and everyone else we've been working with that has graduated successfully, there's a common thing that they do. And this is, and we, before up till now, we would commonly refer to this as teaching ahead or learning ahead of class. But there's actually a scientifically proven approach to this, and it's known as flipped learning. And basically what flipped learning is priming your brain with the content before you get to class. And what that does is you are now have a base understanding of what the material is. So when you hit class, you're getting exposed to questions, you're applying higher order thinking to actually understand and digest the material more than just copying and writing notes. Because if you're seeing it for the first time in class, and especially quite a few of you guys can probably relate to this, I didn't have that much good teachers back in school. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have that one teacher in chemistry or that one teacher in spec. You're like, I just don't understand anything that's coming out of her mouth. That's normal, right? So basically our role, where we think we can definitely help you guys get to the next level, is we provide that content. We give you guys from the 99 plus ATAR graduate point of view, everything you need to ace not just your internal assessment, but inevitably your external exam at the end of the year. And I know it seems so far away, right? Because you got the students, pretty much the grade 12s that are 1 year above you guys are sitting those now. And I know it seems a long way away. You're like, oh, that can wait. That can wait. I'm telling you guys, it goes like this. You guys blink, all of a sudden, you're in grade 12. You're about to sit the external exams. And a lot of students, and I'm not going to lie, leave it too late to start. And I'm not saying obviously start revising for external exams now, but it's building the habits, building the systems to learning and study. So then by the time you get to your external exams, while everyone's cramming, struggling to do it, and I know, obviously, Andy and myself, we've seen this firsthand. All our mates, they had, like all my mates, they were like struggling. They were going to traditional tutors, trying to get help. They didn't understand anything, and it doesn't have to be that hard, guys. There is an easy, not let me not say easy, but easier way to do really well in ATAR. And you know, obviously, having worked with so many students over the last year, being able to transform results like people that were coming to us after their mock exam 2 years ago with 40% on their mocks and getting 80%. Or we've got students like Anusha, who's about to graduate this year. She's pretty much gotten almost full marks for every single internal exam, internal assessment that she sat because of our master classes like these. So we know the value that we can bring. And we're trying to bring this to the bigger audience, rural schools, public schools, everything. We want as much students to see this value. So this is kind of what we got planned within our community. Obviously, with everyone that has joined the Discord from now, it does look a bit empty. So thank you guys so much for your patience thus far, but we are working to build something really incredible. And it starts with number one, uploading weekly content classes for your core subject. And I'm telling you guys, this is just complimentary, guys. We're going to be doing this every single week for the subjects, right? Group classes for the subjects. Things like uploading a weekly topic test where you can apply it to questions, because it's a mixture. You have to understand the concepts, but then the second thing is applying that to questions, because that's ultimately how you're going to get marks on the exam, right? So we give you that every week. Not just that, with personalized feedback. We even give you guys one-on-one calls with a mentor who has graduated and got 99 plus ATAR to give you the strategies that are allocated to what you personally need to work on. Not just as a group, but they'll look at your marks of these topic tests and be like, okay, we need to work on this. Let me give you more resources here. This is the strategy you need to be implementing here. Right? So the personalized help, the resources, and the classes, everything all in one in this Discord community we are working to build. But not just that, obviously you've got the internal assessments. And before every internal assessment, like the one we did today, we're going to be running master classes. And on top of that, we'll have exemplars on the Discord community for you guys to see. No gatekeeping. I'm going to upload mine just after this. Andy's going to upload his PSMT. We're going to put in a folder for you guys to see and access. And as the internal assessments keep progressing, we're going to uploading our research investigation, our student experiments, all on there, in addition to practice exams and all that stuff. Yes. So masterclass on biochem, physics, IA2, IA3, absolutely, Laura. So we'll be doing all of that. We basically did a bit of a trial run last year. It was our first year, and we were so surprised with the results. So we're like, okay, let's start actually accelerating on this and giving you guys everything that we know. So if you're in this community now, get ready for a treat. But also, if you enjoyed today, and I'm sure a lot of other students will benefit from it if you guys benefited from it. So all we're asking today, we're not really asking for you guys to buy into anything. We don't even, the program isn't officially out yet as well. So there isn't anything for you guys to buy into. But also, all the stuff I did mention, you guys will get a version of that for free in the community. So definitely stick around. But what I was trying to say is, if you found it valuable, a lot of other students have found it valuable. So all we ask from today is that you guys share the Discord link with at least 10 friends. If you send that to a group chat with 10 friends, that counts as 10 people. But just 10 friends, if you guys can share the Discord link. If you found today valuable. Obviously, if you didn't find it valuable, if it wasn't for you, that's fine. But I guarantee you the majority of you guys did learn at least one thing today. So, and I'm sure a lot of your friends will learn something too and will continue to benefit from this community. So we don't want to gatekeep. send the link to the Discord to at least 10 friends. So can everyone kind of do that for me now? Whip out your Instagram, copy the link of the Discord. I will send it in the chat right now, actually, so you guys have that. Let me just get that for you. All right. So I just put it in the Discord. So feel free to copy that and send that through to at least 10 friends for us, guys. That's all we ask of you. Just 10 friends. And we're trying to just practically just get more traffic to this community and make sure that everyone kind of sees the value, and then that kind of speaks for itself. So so excited for what we got planned in 2025. You guys should be definitely excited too. We're not holding back here. Every one of you guys is going to get your ATAR goal, whether that's medicine, whether that's dentistry, whether that's you want to get into engineering, anything. We want to work with you to make that happen. That's with one-on-one mentoring. That's with the group sessions like these, practice exams, feedback. We are going to do it all. And because we are only now building this out, there is a lot of room for us to adjust and be responsive to any feedback. So if you guys have anything that you want us to improve on, or anything that you actually really liked and want us to keep doing, please let us know. We'll love your feedback at this stage of our progress. And that's the most valuable thing to us. So your voice, given that it's a relatively small group at the moment, your voices are really powerful. So if you guys have anything that you guys want to see for the rest of the year, anything that you guys want us to change slightly for the rest of the, even the Discord itself, if you have any modifications that you guys think, if you guys are more experienced at Discord than us, because Annie and I are relatively new to Discord, please let us know, because we would just want to make this the best program ever. And it says in our caption, ATAR's #1 program. The results speak for itself. I don't even have to bring up testimonials. You guys can check.
Yeah, we don't even need to. Yeah.
So excited for what we guys got planned in 2025. So yeah, that's pretty much everything from me. But can I just get an indication on the chat, everyone, or maybe put a thumbs up if you guys have once you guys have sent that to 10 people. Me and Andy can just wait here. And at the same time as well, if you guys have any questions regarding PSMT or anything, feel free to ask Andy now. He might do a little 5-minute Q&A if you haven't already, Andy, for anyone that really wants to ask any questions. But other than that,
I think we're good, yeah.
Just feel free to text that on the chat once you have done it, so I can kind of see how many students have actually shared the link with 10 friends of theirs. We'd really appreciate that, guys. Thank you guys so much. Awesome. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Retro. What have you done? But you can send it to me and Andy. We're included. We're included, Gerard. Don't worry. Thank you, Julia.
Send to the great group chat. Yeah, Xavier, that's huge, bro.
Awesome, Xavier. You're a beast, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
I guess we're expecting a big influx of students tonight.
Yeah,
to our community.
Andy, do you have anything to add, or anyone want to ask any questions regarding PSMT for Andy? Feel free to turn your mic on and ask a few questions. Yeah, for sure, Julia. Yeah, feel free to ask away. If it's something that you want to ask Andy personally, all good as well. You can probably ask at the end when everyone's left as well. So either way, that's all good. Andy will stick around.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, wait, so I asked afterwards?
Yeah, too easy. That's all good.
Well, yeah, I mean, it has to be something general though. I can't really stay back to help with the actual task itself.
Yeah.
I can try and decode it, but yeah, if it's a general question about what I went through today, then yeah. But I can't really stay around too long just to answer individual task questions.
Yeah.
That might be, we might have another session later about that. Yeah. But yeah.
Individual questions is more like how, because I feel like sometimes teachers are not really nitpicky. Like, for example, one of my friends lost a mark because he used the word task in his assignment.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
So
yeah,
like, is avoid that?
Yeah, as in, like, are you asking me, are there words that I know from my back of my head that you should probably avoid?
Yeah, or like ways that people lost marks for like something really arbitrary.
Yeah. Yeah, report is good, yeah. Also just idea of probably don't say prove or just say, yeah, basic stuff like that. But I can't really think of any words that you shouldn't use. And again, that depends on teachers to teacher. Like if I said task, I don't think I would get marked down, at least where I used to study in Mansfield. But clearly the state high teachers are a bit more not a bit more strict. But yeah, I think that's more of a teacher individual basis thing that I can't really give you specific words to be like, oh, avoid that or avoid that. I think it's more so I think let's focus on the words that we should use. Yeah. And that'll help try and filter out. Cool.
Yeah. And obviously, Julie, if you have any personal questions, I think you did ask a few on our Insta DMs. Andy can probably check that after and give you a bit of a text back. All
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Is there like a preferred communication?
Yeah, maybe we might
I
actually
just
set
have
up a
to keep
channel on
asking?
Discord just for like PSMT help or something. And then maybe I can try and answer a couple of quick questions there. Just so it's a lot quicker and it's a lot more streamlined on our
We'll make a
Discord. Yeah.
thread. Yeah.
We'll
make
do
a
that,
thread.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then other people can also jump in if you guys have the same task and collaborate. I think that might be a good idea. And Xavier, that's where you can put your task sheet as well. To kind of decode. But yeah, cool. If there's nothing else, thanks for coming, guys. I know it's a Wednesday, 7 p.m. Now it's 8:30. But
when we start talking about IA2s and IA3s, when they are released for you guys. So there's no bother doing it now. We'll do it when you guys have that task for sciences. And then pretty much that's, I think, roughly beginning of the year. I think next year. And then we do the more masterclass on those, more interactive stuff on those, and we'll be uploading them as you guys get them. You know what I mean? So the community will continue to be updated in sync with the tasks you guys get in real time. I feel like that's the best way for you guys to make the most of it, rather than just giving you guys IA1, IA2, IA3 as a bank, and then you guys feeling a bit lost in that. So we'll give it to you guys when you guys need that. But if you guys need it earlier for any reason, just let us know. Yep.
Cool.
This isn't about PSMT, but you won't talk. You were talking about personalized feedback for assignments, exams. How does that work exactly? So that is regarding our topic test. So we're thinking to upload weekly tests for you guys, and with that, you guys will be getting personalized feedback. So that's a feature we're thinking of implementing in the future. Regarding assignments, if you want your personal assignment, I was talking about our topic tests that we're thinking to upload. But if you're thinking about assignments, particularly your PSMT, etc., feel free to text us on the Discord or text us on Instagram if you guys follow us, which, by the way, is at QCE Mentor. We upload a few videos. We've been doing some lives there as well to help you guys keep accountable for study. So follow us there, but you can feel free to text us there or on Discord, and we can do a one-on-one PSMT session with you if you want personal editing on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Easy.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so
Sounds
much
good.
for joining.
Thanks so much, guys.
Have a good rest of your night, and I'll catch you guys later. Alrighty.
See ya. We'll leave as well, Jed.
Yeah. All right. See you guys. Have a good night, everyone.